Hackman's film legacy includes Oscar-winning performances in The French Connection and Unforgiven.
Legend Gene Hackman and his wife.
Yes. The great actors of his generation.
Gene Hackman, a name synonymous with cinematic excellence, led a life as compelling as the characters he portrayed on screen. Born on January 30th, 1930 in San Bernardino, California, Eugene Allen Hackman embarked on a journey that would see him rise from humble beginnings to become one of Hollywood's most revered actors. His recent passing at the age of 95, alongside his wife Betsy Arakawa, has prompted a reflection on a life rich in experiences, achievements, and a legacy that will endure for generations. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Hackman's early years were marked by constant movement and instability. His father, Eugene Ezra Hackman, operated a newspaper printing press, and his mother, Lydia, was a Canadian-born homemaker. The family relocated frequently, eventually settling in Danville, Illinois at his maternal grandmother's house. At the age of 13, Hackman's parents divorced, a pivotal moment that led him to seek independence early on. At 16, he lied about his age to enlist in the United States Marine Corps, serving as a field radio operator in China, Japan, and Hawaii. This experience instilled in him a sense of discipline and resilience that would later define his acting career. Following his discharge from the Marines in 1951, Hackman pursued studies in journalism and television production at the University of Illinois. However, his passion for acting soon took precedence. He enrolled at the Pasadena Playhouse in California, where he met fellow aspiring actor Dustin Hoffman. Both were voted least likely to succeed, a label that only fueled their determination. Hackman's early career was fraught with challenges. He took on various menial jobs while auditioning for roles, facing repeated rejections. His persistence paid off when he secured a role in the 1964 Broadway production of Any Wednesday, which led to his film debut in Lilith the same year. Hackman's breakthrough came with his portrayal of Buck Barrow in Bonnie and Clyde, 1967, earning him his first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. This success was followed by a string of notable performances, including his role as the tough-as-nails detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, 1971. This portrayal won him the Academy Award for Best Actor, cementing his status as a leading man in Hollywood. Hackman's versatility shone through in films like The Conversation, 1974, where he played a paranoid surveillance expert, and Superman, 1978, where he brought charm and wit to the villainous Lex Luthor. His ability to embody a wide range of characters made him a sought-after actor, leading to roles in Hoosiers, 1986, Mississippi Burning, 1988, and Unforgiven, 1992, for which he won his second Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Hackman's personal life was as eventful as his career. He married Faye Maltese in 1956, and the couple had 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie. Despite his demanding career, Hackman valued his role as a father, though his commitments often kept him away from home. After 30 years of marriage, Hackman and Maltese divorced in 1986. In 1991, he married classical pianist Betsy Arakawa, and the couple settled in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Their partnership was marked by mutual respect and shared interests, including a love for the arts and a desire for a life away from the Hollywood spotlight. Away from the cameras, Hackman led a life rich in diverse interests. He was an avid pilot and participated in Sports Car Club of America races during the late 1970s and early 1980s, even winning the Long Beach Toyota Pro Celebrity Race in 1980. His passion for architecture and design led him to create and renovate several homes, 2 of which were featured in Architectural Digest. In his later years, Hackman channeled his creativity into writing, co-authoring historical fiction novels with undersea archaeologist Daniel Lenihan. Their first book, Wake of the Perdido Star, was published in 1999, showcasing Hackman's storytelling prowess beyond the silver screen. Hackman's illustrious career spanned over 6 decades, contributing significantly to his substantial net worth. At the time of his passing, his wealth was estimated at $80 million, a testament to his enduring appeal and the significant impact he made in the film industry. His earnings from iconic roles such as in Superman, which garnered him $2 million, and The Quick and the Dead, for which he earned $1.3 million, reflect his status as a bankable star. Beyond acting, Hackman's investments in real estate, including properties in Montecito and Pebble Beach, California, and his extensively renovated estate in Santa Fe, valued at around $3.8 million, showcased his acumen in managing his wealth. In 2004, Hackman announced his retirement from acting, with his final on-screen appearance in Welcome to Mooseport. He expressed a desire to focus on his health and explore other creative outlets, such as writing and painting. Despite stepping away from the limelight, Hackman's influence on cinema remained profound. His performances continue to inspire actors and filmmakers, and his films have stood the test of time, resonating with audiences old and new. Hackman's dedication to his craft, ability to portray complex characters with authenticity, and his commitment to personal growth beyond acting have solidified his legacy as one of Hollywood's greats. Gene Hackman's life was a remarkable tapestry of perseverance, reinvention, and an unyielding dedication to his craft. Despite his retirement from acting, his influence in Hollywood never waned, and his body of work remained a testament to the raw power of storytelling. As he aged, he chose a quieter life away from the bustling entertainment industry, but even in seclusion, his legacy continued to grow. After stepping away from acting in 2004, Hackman fully embraced a lifestyle focused on privacy, creativity, and well-being. Unlike many actors who struggle with leaving the limelight, he appeared to relish his time away from Hollywood. Rather than making occasional comebacks, Hackman redirected his energy into writing and other creative pursuits. He had already begun to cultivate an interest in literature during the latter part of his career, and once retired, he dedicated more time to writing. Hackman co-authored several novels, focusing on historical fiction and thrillers. His books, including Justice for None and Escape from Andersonville, reflected his deep appreciation for history and storytelling. While some might have expected his novels to be tied to his film work, he instead delved into different narratives, exploring historical settings and characters far removed from Hollywood. This passion project showed another side of Hackman's artistic abilities and ensured that his creative expression did not end with his acting career. Beyond literature, Hackman also took an interest in painting. A lesser-known facet of his personality, painting became a therapeutic and expressive hobby. Though he never pursued it commercially, he found solace in the quiet, methodical process of putting brush to canvas. His retirement, far from being idle, was filled with activities that gave him a sense of fulfillment, proving that his artistic instincts went beyond performing on screen. What set Hackman apart from many of his peers was his grounded nature. Despite his enormous success, he never let fame cloud his judgment or influence his personality. Throughout his career, he was known for his professionalism and no-nonsense approach to acting. Unlike many Hollywood stars who became embroiled in scandals, Hackman maintained a clean public image. He was never one to chase the spotlight off-screen, and his avoidance of the celebrity lifestyle made him something of an enigma. Hackman was also known for his humility. He once admitted that he often felt a sense of insecurity about his acting, despite his immense success. It was this self-awareness that pushed him to continuously refine his performances, always striving to do better. His work ethic was impeccable, and he was never one to take his craft for granted. Directors and co-stars frequently praised his commitment and the energy he brought to every role. Even in the most challenging of productions, Hackman remained a force of nature, delivering performances that captivated audiences. Although he became one of the most celebrated actors of his generation, Hackman never fully embraced the celebrity lifestyle. Unlike many of his contemporaries who sought media attention, he actively avoided the Hollywood scene when not working on films. He had little interest in parties, award ceremonies, or the glamorous side of the industry. Instead, he preferred a quiet life, far removed from the pressures of stardom. Hackman's distaste for the trappings of fame was evident in the way he conducted himself throughout his career. He rarely gave interviews and was known to be fiercely private about his personal life. While he was appreciative of the recognition he received for his work, he never sought out the limelight beyond what was necessary to promote his films. He believed that an actor's job was to serve the story, not to become the story themselves. Even during his peak years, he lived a relatively modest life compared to other Hollywood heavyweights. He did not indulge in excessive spending or maintain an extravagant public persona. His financial success was substantial, but he remained prudent, investing in real estate rather than luxurious excess. Hackman's approach to wealth was one of careful management, ensuring that he maintained financial stability long after his retirement. Few actors have left as indelible a mark on the film industry as Gene Hackman. His ability to immerse himself in his roles and create believable, nuanced characters set him apart from many of his peers. He was never typecast, as he could seamlessly transition between genres: thrillers, dramas, westerns, and even comedies. Whether he played a corrupt sheriff, a determined detective, or a ruthless villain, Hackman always delivered performances that resonated deeply with audiences. His portrayal of Jimmy "Popeye" Doyle in The French Connection remains one of the most iconic performances in cinema history. The film itself set a new standard for crime thrillers, with Hackman's intense and unrelenting performance at the center of it all. The gritty realism he brought to the role helped redefine the genre and influenced countless future actors and filmmakers. Another landmark role was his performance in Unforgiven, where he played Little Bill Daggett, a sadistic yet oddly charismatic sheriff. The film, directed by Clint Eastwood, is widely regarded as one of the greatest westerns of all time, and Hackman's portrayal added a layer of complexity that made the film even more compelling. His ability to play morally ambiguous characters with such authenticity made him one of the most respected actors of his time. Even his role as Lex Luthor in Superman showcased his versatility. While many actors might have played the villain in an overtly menacing way, Hackman injected humor and intelligence into the character, making Luthor one of the most memorable antagonists in superhero cinema. His ability to balance menace with wit made the role unforgettable and set a precedent for future actors portraying comic book villains. Hackman's influence extended far beyond his own performances. Many of today's leading actors cite him as a major inspiration. His ability to bring authenticity to every role he played served as a masterclass in acting, and his performances continue to be studied by aspiring actors worldwide. He was often praised for his naturalistic approach to acting. Unlike performers who relied on grand gestures or melodrama, Hackman's style was rooted in realism. He had an innate ability to make his characters feel like real people, which is why audiences connected with them so deeply. Even when playing larger-than-life figures, he brought an authenticity that made them believable. Filmmakers also admired Hackman's dedication to storytelling. Directors such as Francis Ford Coppola, William Friedkin, and Clint Eastwood frequently spoke of his ability to elevate a film simply through his presence. His instincts for choosing roles were impeccable, and his commitment to each character helped create some of the most memorable moments in film history. In his later years, Hackman maintained a low profile, choosing to live peacefully in New Mexico with his wife Betsy. Despite his retreat from public life, his name remained ever present in discussions about great actors. Each time a retrospective on classic cinema was done, Hackman's performances were highlighted as examples of masterful acting. Even as he aged, there was always speculation about whether he might return for one last film. However, Hackman remained firm in his decision to stay retired, showing no interest in making a comeback. He had done everything he set out to do in Hollywood and was content with his legacy. Upon his passing, tributes poured in from fellow actors, directors, and fans worldwide. The impact he had on the industry was undeniable, and his body of work continues to be celebrated. His ability to craft compelling, layered performances ensured that he would never be forgotten. Gene Hackman's story is one of determination, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to his craft. From a young boy who faced adversity and rejection to one of the most respected actors of all time, his journey was nothing short of extraordinary. His life was a testament to the power of perseverance and passion. Though he is no longer with us, his films will continue to inspire generations of actors and filmmakers. The characters he brought to life will forever be etched in cinematic history, and his influence will live on for years to come. Hackman's passing marks the end of an era, but his legacy is immortal. He was more than just an actor. He was a storyteller, an artist, and a man who truly understood the power of film. His ability to capture the human experience on screen ensured that he would always be remembered as one of the greatest to ever do it. Gene Hackman's life was a masterclass in resilience, artistry, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. he built a career that spanned decades, reshaping the landscape of American cinema with his intense and deeply layered performances. While his passing marks the end of an era, his influence will be felt for generations to come. Yet beyond his career, Hackman's personal life, values, and legacy offer even more insight into a man who, despite all odds, carved out an indelible place in the hearts of audiences and the history of filmmaking. One of the most remarkable aspects of Hackman's career was his approach to acting. Unlike many of his peers who trained in method acting, Hackman never confined himself to a single school of thought. He rejected the idea that an actor needed to embody a character beyond the screen, instead relying on instinct, research, and a sharp eye for human behavior. Hackman had a natural ability to observe people and translate those observations into his characters. His performances felt lived in, almost as if he had plucked them straight from real life. This rawness was part of what made him so believable in every role he played. Whether it was the hardened detective Popeye Doyle or the complex and corrupt sheriff Little Bill Daggett, Hackman's portrayals were not just convincing, they felt deeply authentic. His preparation was often quiet and internal. Co-stars recalled that he rarely needed excessive rehearsals or discussions about motivation. Instead, Hackman would read the script, understand his character's essence, and step onto the set fully formed. This ability to become a character rather than perform as one made him one of the most respected actors in Hollywood. Directors found him to be an actor who needed little guidance. He simply knew what to do. Hackman's approach also made him a favorite among his co-stars. Actors who worked with him described him as generous, always willing to give them room to shine. He never sought to overshadow his colleagues, even when his presence was undeniably commanding. He believed that acting was a collaborative process, and that a film's success depended on the ensemble, not just one person's performance. Beyond his physical presence and acting prowess, Hackman's voice was one of his most defining features. It had a rough, gravelly quality that carried weight, making every word he spoke feel urgent and important. This unique vocal tone allowed him to play authority figures, villains, and anti-heroes with unparalleled believability. His voice was not just commanding, it was adaptable. He could be menacing when needed, but also warm and paternal. In films like Hoosiers, his voice became a source of inspiration, urging his team of underdogs toward greatness. In The Conversation, his deliberate and quiet delivery perfectly encapsulated his character's paranoia and isolation. Perhaps one of the most defining examples of his vocal power was in Mississippi Burning, where he played an FBI agent investigating civil rights abuses in the South. His ability to convey intensity through his voice alone made the character even more compelling. The way he delivered dialogue, balancing rage with restraint, added layers to the performance that made it unforgettable. While Hackman was widely respected, he was not without his moments of tension with directors. His no-nonsense approach sometimes clashed with filmmakers who had a more rigid vision. One well-known instance was his conflict with Clint Eastwood on the set of Unforgiven. Eastwood, known for his minimal direction and quiet sets, had to navigate Hackman's strong personality and artistic instincts. However, despite any on-set disagreements, their collaboration resulted in one of the most celebrated performances of Hackman's career. William Friedkin, who directed him in The French Connection, once admitted that Hackman had been hesitant about certain aspects of the role. Hackman was not naturally aggressive, yet he had to play a cop who used brute force and intimidation. Friedkin had to push Hackman to step outside his comfort zone, but the result was one of the most iconic performances in film history. Despite these occasional creative tensions, Hackman remained professional. He was not one to engage in petty feuds or hold grudges. Once a film wrapped, he moved on, never allowing personal conflicts to overshadow his respect for the craft. Many actors who worked with Hackman praised his ability to elevate every scene. His presence forced those around him to bring their best performances, as they knew they were sharing the screen with a master. Some even said that acting opposite Hackman was both exhilarating and terrifying. Exhilarating because it pushed them to new heights. Terrifying because they feared not measuring up. Hackman's decision to retire in 2004 was surprising but fitting. Unlike many actors who struggle with stepping away, he made a clean break. There were no farewell tours, no guest appearances, he simply stopped. When asked about his decision, He often cited his health and a desire to enjoy life outside of the pressures of Hollywood. Settling in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Hackman embraced a slower pace. He spent his time painting, writing, and enjoying the company of his wife, Betsy Arakawa. He occasionally made public appearances but largely stayed out of the spotlight. Unlike many retired actors who still sought relevance, Hackman seemed content with his legacy. He never attempted a comeback, even when offered lucrative roles. In an era where actors often chase fame well into old age, Hackman's quiet exit was a testament to his confidence and satisfaction with what he had achieved. His absence from Hollywood only added to his mystique. Every few years, rumors would circulate about a potential return, but Hackman never entertained them. He had said everything he needed to say through his work. The longevity of Hackman's films speaks to their cultural significance. His movies are not just watched, they are studied, dissected, and referenced in discussions about great cinema. The French Connection remains a landmark in crime thrillers, influencing countless filmmakers who sought to capture its grit and intensity. Unforgiven redefined the Western genre, showing the moral complexities of violence and justice. The Conversation is still regarded as one of the greatest psychological thrillers, a film that feels just as relevant today as it did upon its release. Even his work in commercial films like Superman set a standard. Hackman's portrayal of Lex Luthor became the benchmark for how comic book villains could be played with intelligence and charm. Without his performance, the blueprint for modern-day superhero villains might look very different. His ability to select projects that stood the test of time ensured that his name would never fade from cinematic history. While some actors are remembered for a handful of roles, Hackman's entire filmography is celebrated. His career was not defined by one or two iconic performances, but by a body of work that consistently delivered excellence. What remains of Gene Hackman's legacy is not just his films, but the ethos he carried throughout his life. He was an actor's actor, dedicated, disciplined, and deeply respectful of the craft. He never sought to be a celebrity, he wanted to be a storyteller. His approach to life was one of balance. He worked hard but knew when to walk away. He earned wealth but lived modestly. He achieved fame but never let it define him. This balance is what made him not just a great actor, but a man worth admiring. His passing may have marked the end of an extraordinary life, but his presence will never truly disappear. Every time an aspiring actor studies his work, every time a director references one of his performances, and every time an audience member feels something because of the depth he brought to his characters, Gene Hackman will live on. There are few actors who can say they changed the industry. Hackman was one of them. And though he may no longer be with us, his influence will be felt for as long as films are made, watched, and loved. As time passes, certain actors fade into obscurity, their contributions to cinema overshadowed by newer generations of performers. However, Gene Hackman belongs to the rare category of actors whose impact transcends time. His name remains synonymous with authenticity, his performances a benchmark for what great acting should be. Even long after his retirement and passing, his work continues to influence actors, directors, and film enthusiasts worldwide. Hackman was never one to chase trends or adapt his style to fit the expectations of the moment. He remained committed to truth in performance, prioritizing substance over spectacle. This refusal to conform to Hollywood's fleeting standards contributed to his longevity in an industry where relevance can be short-lived. His ability to evolve without compromising his artistic integrity ensured that he was always in demand, even as newer actors emerged. One of the greatest testaments to Hackman's genius is the timeless nature of the characters he portrayed. Unlike some performances that feel rooted in a specific era, Hackman's characters remain compelling across generations. Take, for example, the French Connection's Popeye Doyle, a character whose methods may be questionable but whose determination is undeniable. The film's raw energy and Hackman's portrayal of a relentless, flawed protagonist continue to captivate audiences. The moral ambiguity of the character still sparks discussions today, as people debate whether Doyle was a hero or an anti-hero. Then there's Unforgiven, a film that deconstructs the myth of the noble gunslinger. Hackman's portrayal of Little Bill Daggett presents a layered antagonist, one who believes he is the law's hand, but ultimately reveals himself to be as ruthless as the criminals he seeks to control. His performance is so nuanced that audiences continue to reassess the character's motivations and justifications, making the film endlessly relevant. Even his work in the conversation remains eerily prescient in an era dominated by concerns about surveillance, privacy, and government overreach. Harry Call, the socially withdrawn wiretapper Hackman plays, represents a type of paranoia that feels just as pertinent today as it did in the 1970s. The quiet intensity of his performance elevates the film beyond a simple thriller. It becomes a psychological study, making audiences question the weight of guilt, responsibility, and moral consequences. Although Hackman's career extended well beyond the so-called New Hollywood era of the 1970s, he remains one of its defining figures. The directors and actors of that period sought to push the boundaries of storytelling, moving away from the formulaic studio-driven films of the past. They embraced realism, moral ambiguity, and characters that felt genuinely human. Hackman fit perfectly into this movement, not as a conventional leading man, but as an actor who could bring truth to any role. His collaborations with directors like Francis Ford Coppola, William Friedkin, and Clint Eastwood cemented his place in this revolution of filmmaking. Unlike actors who relied on charm or traditional good looks, Hackman proved that charisma could come from intensity, unpredictability, and sheer force of presence. He was not a typical Hollywood star. He was something far more compelling, an actor who made audiences believe in every character he portrayed. Even as the industry changed and filmmaking became more commercialized, Hackman's presence never diminished. While other actors of his generation struggled to find meaningful roles in the later stages of their careers, he continued to secure work that challenged him creatively. His transition into the 1980s and 1990s was seamless, with films like Hoosiers, Mississippi Burning, and Enemy of the State proving that his ability to captivate an audience had not waned. Hackman's impact on the craft of acting is immeasurable. Many of today's most respected actors cite him as an influence, pointing to his ability to bring emotional depth to every role. His performances are studied in film schools, analyzed by aspiring actors who wish to emulate his ability to disappear into a character. His authenticity also paved the way for a different kind of leading man. In an industry that often favored conventionally attractive, charming actors, Hackman showed that intensity and rawness could be just as compelling. This influence can be seen in performers like Daniel Day-Lewis, Gary Oldman, and Joaquin Phoenix, actors who prioritize character transformation over vanity. Directors, too, continue to be inspired by Hackman's work. His performances set a standard for how characters should be written and portrayed. The way he approached his roles, committing to the emotional truth rather than simply delivering lines, helped redefine what was expected from actors. Filmmakers who strive for realism and complexity in their characters often reference Hackman's work as a blueprint for crafting compelling narratives. Unlike many actors who struggle with stepping away from the industry, Hackman's retirement only added to his mystique. He did not gradually fade out or attempt ill-fated comebacks. He left on his own terms. There were no farewell projects, no grand announcements. He simply stopped acting. This decision added to the reverence people have for his career. Fans and critics often wonder what roles he could have played had he continued. Would he have taken on a mentor figure in a new generation of crime dramas? Would he have explored different genres, perhaps returning to the stage? The fact that he never returned leaves these questions unanswered, making his legacy feel even more untouched. Unlike other retired actors who still seek validation from the industry, Hackman was content with his body of work. He never made appearances at award shows or participated in retrospectives about his career. His absence made his legend grow stronger, as people could only reflect on what he had already accomplished, rather than any potential missteps in a comeback. Beyond his career, Hackman's life serves as an example of someone who lived on his own terms. He valued privacy, personal growth, and artistic exploration. Even in his later years, he continued to engage in creative endeavors, whether through writing, painting, or simply living life outside of Hollywood's glare. His marriage to Betsy Arakawa was a significant part of his life after acting. Unlike many Hollywood relationships that are subjected to constant scrutiny and public pressure, theirs was private and enduring. Hackman found stability and companionship in his later years, which allowed him to fully embrace life beyond the industry. Hackman's legacy is not just about his films, it is about his approach to life. He showed that an actor could be dedicated to their craft without being consumed by it. He demonstrated that it is possible to leave an industry at the height of one's powers and still be content. His life reminds people that true fulfillment does not come from external validation, but from personal satisfaction and integrity. Gene Hackman's passing may mark the end of an extraordinary life, but his presence will never truly fade. His performances will continue to be studied, admired, and celebrated for generations to come. Every time a young actor seeks to bring authenticity to a role, every time a filmmaker strives to create complex characters, every time an audience member is moved by one of his performances, Hackman's spirit will live on. Few actors achieve what he did, not just in terms of accolades, but in terms of lasting impact. His ability to make characters feel real, his commitment to storytelling, and his unwavering artistic integrity ensured that he would never be forgotten. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Gene Hackman's legacy? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.